It appears as though the world is healing, at least the world of gaming. Okay, not AAA gaming, but at least AA and the indie levels, which, to be completely honest, did they ever really need healing, or were they the ones just kind of carrying everything forward, kicking and screaming? Meanwhile, AA publishers and developers were just trying to wring the pockets dry of anybody who was still left, supporting a bunch of their slop. But Baldur's Gate 3 actor, okay, so a voice actor in the industry, is spilling the tea by claiming that diversity-driven storylines are being cut throughout the gaming world. But imagine that, right? Because you got a Baldur's 3 voice actor, which guess what? Okay, even though I haven't played Baldur's Gate 3, it's like CRPGs aren't really my thing, and I don't really like the world, and it's like something that doesn't really appeal to me at all whatsoever. But I do respect it for what it is, mostly because it's a crowdfunded AA game that just ended up doing gangbusters, and still to this day has a very, very, very dedicated fan base. And the studio behind it seems based as all hell, because oh my god, what were they taking shots at? Like Assassin's Creed Shadows, Dragon Age the Veilguard, just going ha, we did it all better on half to a third of the budget, and plus we have support of our fans that we don't want to denigrate at every turn. So Larian Studios doing it better than everybody else out there. But yeah, back to this actor, who we will get to his statements here very shortly. But Baldur's Gate 3 is a game that you can be whoever you want, wherever you want, looking like however you want, you romance whatever you want. Because what was the big story around the game when it first came out? You can have sex with the bear. Oh my god, you can bum the bear. Fantastic. What else is out there? Oh right, like a really mechanically rich gameplay loop and a very involved story. Oh, okay, cool. And interesting characters and a fully fleshed out team. Wow, cool. Sign me up. So imagine that. You can have all of these different elements. You can have all of these different themes. You can check all of these different boxes. As long as you do it right, as long as it's properly implemented, nobody really cares. It's a big shock, right? Stuff like this has existed for literally ever, and it's only once a bunch of idiotic, underqualified, but over-degreed hacks started to work their ways into the industry to force all of this stuff to the forefront did it really start to become a problem. But okay. And a new report by The Gamer is raising eyebrows about what it represents as a straight news story, but reads more like an editorial on the state of gaming diversity under the current political climate in the United States. Yeah, there's a reason that I didn't go to the Gamer article on this one, mostly because I would just be banging my head off the microphone. Nobody really wants to hear that. But over at the Gamer, they also like to bang their heads on cylindrical objects. But normally, instead of me with my forehead, they like to go lips first. The article published July 5th centers on actor Samantha Berart. Oh, it's a female, okay, who played fantasy stuff, man. In Baldur's Gate 3, according to Barrett, the game developers are already facing pushback on inclusive storylines, and some are seeing their work cut entirely. Round of applause, yeah, because game like for spanking and a studio like that closing down, I mean, you got exactly what you wanted, okay? All of your dreams in games like, South of Midnight, how well has that performed? Dustborn, you got everything that you could have wanted, but nobody wanted to play it, and everybody who did seen it for the cringe disaster that it was. What happened? You got your female-led games like Star Wars Outlaws, but it was garbage. It was a buggy, incomplete mess that instead of fixing it, they just decided to rip out mechanics wholesale and go, hey guys, we fixed the stealth by getting rid of the stealth. I guess that's fixing it in a way. But this is what happens when you put idiots in charge. Without exposing devs, I know that's happening. Their storylines have been cut. Barat told The Gamer, historically, appeasement is a really bad thing. Yeah, fucking hilarious that you would come to that conclusion. Gee, you look at everything else burning to the ground all around you, and yeah, then you say, oh my god, we see all of this hard work by all of these really competent developers. It's just being left on the cutting room floor because nobody wants to play our atrocious stories, or they want to interact with our characters that instead of prioritizing, saving the day and being the hero, they want to sit down with their parents and describe the importance of being referred to as a non-binary individual. They don't want to do that anymore. They just want to appease the chuds, and you know what? That's a bad thing. Appeasement, historically, is a really bad thing. Yeah, you're right. For all the wrong reasons. The claim is framed in the context of President Donald Trump's return to office in 2024. Bro, Eric July was 1000% right. Shout out to Young Ripa on this. I thought it too, but he said it louder by, thinking that instead of having a moment of reflection, okay, all of those freak leftists that are out there, seeing the political landscape shift underneath their feet, instead of, having that moment of inflection, really looking around and going, well, what have we done wrong that has led to this, in their opinion, inopportune outcome? Instead of doing that, they're just going to triple, quadruple, quintuple down on all of their destructive policies and see everything else burn out to the ground before they admit that they were wrong. Happening at Xbox. The ass is falling out of AAA gaming everywhere that you look, but no, it's not us that's wrong. Okay, it's not the progressives. We're on the right side of history. It's all of you chuds and bigots that are wrong. Why aren't you buying our stuff? We need to shame you. We need to shame you harder, stronger, and louder. The gamer attributes a supposed rollback of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives in gaming to a broader cultural response to an executive order issued by the Trump administration. Yeah, that only applies to federal institutions and not the private sector, which these idiots, man, for as much as they just rant and rave about politics 24/7, they don't understand anything of political machinations. They probably still think that, oh my god, my DoorDash is getting tariffed. Fucking idiots. That order, issued earlier this year, limits federal funding and government partnerships with companies that base hiring on promotion decisions on race, gender identity, or sexual orientation. And all of a sudden, all of this crying and complaining really starts to ratchet up at a point in time when, there were investigations, and just recently, Marco Rubio came out and said that, U.S. aid, it's been shut down. And now all of a sudden, oh boy, we're starting to see all of these studio closures and these big layoffs happen. I'm sure that's just a coincidence, right? The article implies that the policy has influenced broader corporate behavior, including within the gaming industry. And it's also, right, because to just tangent a little bit to a related field of entertainment in Hollywood, we haven't really seen too many over outside of Ironheart, but mostly because that was a holdover from, 2022, but I digress for a second. But the things that have been coming out, it's not like the quality has improved, like the floor has not rose at all whatsoever. It's just not overtly in your face, quote unquote, woke. That's why I've been saying, okay, when you just simply label something woke, it's about as helpful as labeling something boring. Okay, it's boring, it's bad, it's woke, it's bad. Well, can you go ahead and describe why it's bad? Oh, it's because the characters, the plot, and the story is just all garbage. It makes no sense whatsoever. The dialogue is just is lazy. Nobody answers the other's question, and the characters are totally contradictory and insufferable. Oh, okay, cool. That has very little to do with it being woke or very little with it being boring. You've actually outlined like a problem and a fundamental issue with the skill floor of the writers that are there. Could it potentially be? Instead of your political biases or your just little pet bugaboos about not liking something specifically? And could it be that there is a fundamental lack of talent in the creative arts? Could that be the issue? Is that really the root cause of a lot of these failings? I don't know. It's DEI policies not getting properly funded. All right then. This Baldur's Gate 3 actor further warned in today's environment, a title as diverse as Larian Studios' 2023 hit might not have even gotten greenlit. Yeah, because it got crowdfunded, you fucking idiot. However, it's worth noting that Baldur's Gate 3, yes, achieved its success not because of any particular demographic checklist, but because it was widely praised as a deep, player-driven RPG with meaningful choice, high production values, and strong writing. Yeah, exactly. It's not the most graphically eye-catching game that you're ever going to see, but it does what it does, and it does it extremely well. And yeah, you can do a whole bunch of shit that would be on your checklist if you are prioritizing DEI policies. Players were free to shape their own experience, choosing which characters to romance or ignore, which moral paths to follow, and how much emphasis, if any, to place on identity-based storylines. Exactly. This game's inclusive elements were optional, woven into a broader tapestry of fantasy storytelling, rather than used as a primary marketing hook. That's a stark contrast from titles that have drawn criticism for leading with identity politics while offering limited entertainment value or shallow gameplay. Yeah, because that speaks to the fundamental issue with a lot of modern entertainment that does get described as woke or a DEI pandering nonsense. It's because they're not about telling a story. They're all about preaching to you. They just want to show you and tell you how good of people they are, and they want to use it, you know, with just little skin suits that they put on the screen in the form of stupid trash. And I don't even remember the, you know, goofy ass wannabe pirate chick's name, but there was that Asian elf who has some of the most insufferable, like her first scene, okay, oh my god, we can't get out of this bubble, but I know a back way. It's like, it's contradictory from go. They are so bad at their job that even if you told them, okay, we can't have any of this, you know, fucking gay nonsense in this, okay? You got to get rid of all that stuff. Hell, we just seen it recently with Elio, Pixar's a recent abomination. Or yeah, it was really bad. They told it to make it less gay, but it didn't fix the problem at all whatsoever. The industrialization of the creative arts have led to its downfall. Simply telling somebody that they're a writer, they're an artist, they're a creative because they went and got a Bachelor of Arts degree, that has ruined entertainment more than anything else in the past 25 years. Communist subversion goes back a little bit further than that, but yeah, since the turn of the century, hiring people because they go to these intellectually vapid hug boxes for 2 to 4 years to get a worthless degree that wouldn't even get you hired at Starbucks. Nepotism from people that are actually accomplished in the industry, bringing in their far less talented niece, nephew, a daughter or son. That is what's actively killing the industry, not supporting diverse voices, because frankly, if they're good enough, they'll get hired. And at this pace, if you're looking to get hired in AAA gaming, chances are that's going to be out of the reach for everybody, because that's an industry that is burning to the ground because they got exactly what they wanted, and now they're having to wrestle with the consequence of their own actions. Boo fucking who. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.